Hey, what's happening, everyone? Welcome back. Today we are continuing on with part two, or excuse me, round two, part two of the My Favorite LJN Manager Tournament. So, because we only had 10 winners going into round two, 20 winners going into round two. We're going to have 10 winners to complete round two, going into round three. And we did 4 matchups in the first video. We're looking at 3 matchups in both the second video as well as the third video. So, without further ado, we're going to go right into the selections for the matches of this video. And we are going to feature Purple Slick as he does battle against Mean Gene Original. We're going to have Mean Gene with the alternate black as he squares off against, Howard Finkel. Now that's a good one right there. That's a really good matchup. Last matchup is going to feature the Elf Bobby Heenan. Wow. I always seem to be getting the same Bobby Heenan versus Bobby Heenan matchups. But Bobby Heenan Elf versus Bobby Heenan Black. Alright, so we only have 3 matchups in this video. And then we'll finish it off with the last 3 matchups in the next video. So, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull those figures, and I'll be back momentarily. Alright, everybody. So, the figures have been pulled, and we are ready to dive into the first set of matchups. So, kind of looking at the names that were pulled for this video, it really tells you guys what kind of figures I really appreciate when it comes to the managers, referees, etc. Because we're seeing a lot of Mean Gene Okerlund figures in this tournament, and we're seeing a lot of Bobby Heenan figures in this tournament. And oddly enough, Bobby Heenan, some of his figures in back-to-back rounds now have seen a Bobby Heenan on Bobby Heenan matchup. So, and the fact that you're going to eliminate 2 Heenans right off the bat there and still have Bobby Heenan figures to spare, it just goes to show that I do appreciate that figure. That A, I keep acquiring different variants, different customs, and B, that his figures keep defeating others that, you know, when he's not scoring off against himself. So that's pretty awesome. This first matchup, we said was going to be original Mean Gene Okerlund as he does battle against Custom Slick. Mean Gene Okerlund, at this point, we've looked at so many of the Mean Gene figures, and it's really hard to add more onto it than what we've already discussed. There are just certain guys that you think of as WWF. It would be so weird. Imagine if Vince McMahon wasn't an owner, or if he was the owner, he sold the company and then moved on to work for WCW. That is how foreign seeing guys like Hulk Hogan in WCW was, or Macho Man in WCW, Rick Rude in WCW, Paul Orndorff. When you saw Elizabeth, when you saw Mean Gene Okerlund, I think Jesse Ventura moved on to WCW. It's like, it's so awkward seeing guys that you either grew up with or that you knew of as being superstars of the World Wrestling Federation, now part of the competition. In all honesty, you know, WCW was NWA. You know, it before they finally changed the name with the new promoters and new owners of the company. But you know, by 1990, AWA was out the door, and there really was just WWF and WCW. You know, forget going overseas, forget these little smaller territories. No, you want to get name recognition. You want your brand out there. You want to go for the gold. You want the big payday. You got to go for those 2 companies, essentially. And I got a little message pop up here. Get rid of that. So I understand, you know, once your contract runs out, you got to go somewhere for work. But Mean Gene and WCW, that to me is like one of the strangest things ever. But the man was a very coveted talent. For a non-wrestling character to be that coveted, that desired, amazing. The sad thing is, I don't remember when Mean Gene Okerlund died. I want to say early 2010s, if I'm not mistaken. And when I heard about his death, whenever it was, a year ago, 2 years ago, etc., I thought, okay, this is Mean Gene Okerlund, man. This guy is probably gonna have 50,000 people, outside his funeral. You're gonna probably have hundreds, if not thousands, of former professional wrestlers, managers, commentators, and you're gonna have thousands upon thousands of fans that are lined up to see him go. And then I don't know who it was that gave. I think it was a shoot interview. Kevin Sullivan or someone. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a name, but he's like, when Mean Gene had his funeral, nobody was there. Nobody showed up for him. Maybe a couple of guys, and I'm like, that is so freaking insane. One of the most popular people of all time, and you're telling me nobody came to recognize this man? I figure like Hulk Hogan as an example would have been like one of the first people in the front row seat giving a eulogy or something. So it hurts to think about that. And it's like, what have you personally done in your life, and who have you really influenced and inspired so that when you pass, you know that your life made a difference to someone else? If Mean Gene Okerlund couldn't have inspired the way that I thought he would have, I kind of feel bad for myself when my time comes. Mean Gene Okerlund will always be one of my favorite people, period. Doesn't have to be wrestling related. It could just be in general. And I kind of enjoy hearing him kind of curse behind the scenes, because it's very un-Mean Gene Okerlund-like. And to kind of see that, kind of ragging on the wrestlers and stuff, it's just a lot of fun, It just shows that, what, the man takes his job serious, but he can have a good time as well. Mean Gene is going to square off against Slick. The Reverend Slick. Here's the thing. If you're going off just simply based on color scheme on this figure, I think Slick would top Mean Gene Okerlund. Mean Gene Okerlund, he's got that nice, beautiful, formal dinner type of outfit and everything. But I just really love the color scheme. What Kenny did with this particular figure is absolutely amazing. I just can't say it enough. What I don't like about Slick is the same thing I talk about when I don't like about the Elizabeth figure. They're like dolls. Elizabeth is basically a Barbie. This is a very tiny, small figure. Can't really do much with them. And I really don't have that much history or knowledge, or I don't have a lot of memories about Slick. Now, he could have been one of the most popular people in wrestling, during this time period, but I just don't have that recollection. The first time I ever did a My Favorite LJN tournament, I said that one of the key aspects of my tournament was it was a figure first tournament. So personal feelings, like who's your favorite wrestler and all that, who did you like, who did you dislike, etc., was not going to play a role in my decision. When I did the second tournament, I changed that. I'm like, you know what? It would be foolish of you to pretend that personal history would not play a role, and it should play a role. It shouldn't be a predominant role, but it should be a factor when making your decision. Mean Gene Okerlund has a fantastic figure. Even though he's a little bit smaller, he's still bulkier figure, which I like. Neither one of them are really playable figures. I think Mean Gene Okerlund would give you a little bit more playability if you chose to utilize him that way. I love the color scheme of this figure, but I think if I chose Slick, I would essentially be choosing him strictly because of the artwork that Kenny put forth when he painted this figure, and not because I just simply like the figure more. It's a nice looking figure. It is. I mean, it's solid all around. Good paint job. You'll always be able to see to tell a Kenny Lester figure, because I don't know what it is, how he gets this kind of like glossiness to the figures, and so that kind of always sticks out to me. In the past, it didn't really bother me, but nowadays I think it just becomes a little bit too much. Still, it was a good pickup. I'm glad to have had it. I am going to choose Mean Gene Okerlund, though. This is the type of scenario where I think history does play a little bit more of a role than the figure itself. Thickness and playability, I would give a heads up to Mean Gene. I think the only thing I really like about this figure a little bit more is the color. So either way, I think Mean Gene would be a better figure, even than the original Slick. Alright, next one up is Mean Gene with alternate black. This one. Mean Gene alternate black versus Howard Finkel. The tough part about this is I believe... No, that one's not. So, Howard Finkel is a Kenny Lester figure. Mean Gene, I believe I got this one from Stangergq. So this is what I'm talking about with the original Mean Gene Okerlund figure. Instead of having your hand up like this with the microphone and whatnot, have it inward towards your face so it's like you're actually talking into it. So that makes this figure so much better than even the original. And you know what? They kind of alternate the colors, swapping out the black with the gold, or excuse me, red with gold. So, again, I just don't like the fact that, you know, the microphone is way out there. As far as physical design, they did a much better job by changing the arm positioning of the figure so that the microphone is posed correctly. And again, changing the red with gold is, you know, not necessary, but it makes it a completely new figure, not just in terms of physical design. And so I'm looking at this figure, I'm looking at the arm. Yeah, there's a little bit of a divot right here at the top where the shoulder meets the arm. But overall, the way they glued it, but it's on both sides, so it doesn't really look like it's, you know, not lined up correctly. It looks like there's like a bulge in the jacket, you know, when you put your jacket on, there's kind of like on the shoulders, that side sometimes kind of bulges up. So that to me is what that actually looks like. And if that's the design that they were going for, it makes sense, and it makes it even more impressive. So overall, quality figure again. Really like it. Howard Finkel. It wasn't Howard Finkel, but who is that guy with the blonde hair? Let's get ready to rumble. That guy. A lot of times it's Howard Finkel doing rumbles, but sometimes, you know, that guy will chip in and do some rumbles here and there, especially later on. It's just tough because, I mean, they're both very well done. I do, like, when you look at figures like Zeus from Ram Treasures with the extra glossiness, I love that. I think it looks amazing. But what Kenny does with these figures, I don't know. I'm not as much of a fan with the way that he does it on these. So, I can't knock Kenny. I mean, like I said, I love his artwork. That's why I buy so many of the figures from Raider Nation, because I want to have Kenny Lester figures, because I think he does awesome work. But that kind of detracts a little bit. It doesn't look natural. When you look at this Mean Gene Okerlund, it looks natural. It looks just like, you know, your regular LJN figure. So some of these really stand out, but I think they stand out the wrong way. I would love to see Howard Finkel move forward, especially since I've got a couple Mean Genes already in the next round. But I think overall, Mean Gene, again, is still a better figure. As a figure first tournament, you got to go with the best ones, and I think that this one was just better done. Well crafted. Alright, so the last matchup seems to always happen. Bobby Heenan on Bobby Heenan. I like this one a lot, so I'm going to start with this version. This is a rubber figure because, you know, you could squeeze the legs and see it move and everything. But, like, when you tap on the back, it feels like resin. And the way that the shoulders and arms, I don't know how they went over it because, like, I'm not an artist, so I can't even begin to imagine the way that they created the figure. I mean, is it like a complete rubber figure, original LJN, that they somehow glossed it with some kind of glue or something to make it feel like resin or whatnot? Because you feel that the top of the body compared to the waist down, it's like resin is one half and then rubber the bottom half. At first, I just thought they may have like just cut off the arms, resituated them, and like maybe cut off the hands, like molded on like new hands or something for the, you know, this guy type of deal. I like the figure a lot. Looks spectacular. Again, with a thumbs in like that, it makes me laugh. I really enjoy this one a lot. When it comes to actual detail, as someone who absolutely loves Christmas, and someone who wants to acquire as many of these Christmas-themed action figures, and if I can come across a horror-based, you know, Halloween-based themed action figure as well, I would love to pick those up. The elf is so perfectly well made, with the glitter and the sparkling all around. This is a fantastic figure. And it's a difference between just simply painting a figure. I talked about the Series 1 Hulk Hogan I had, that my buddy Eric did. And he didn't just simply paint on like yellow boots and red pants and whatnot. He actually built, using like a, I don't know what he uses, but he actually built something over the legs and boots to create a secondary layer of boots along with the pants and built on shirt and everything. And I just thought that was, I just wanted him to repaint it, but he went above and beyond, did an awesome job on it. And that's kind of like what they do with these figures. I think they actually build on extra layers onto the clothing, so it's not just simply repainting what's there. So you could feel it around the bottom of the jacket as well as the white part of the boots. So there are certain areas, like I think the vest itself might have been just repainted, but the way that it was done is spectacular. When I talk about figures that I think could be my all-time favorite, because of the different features of this one, I think this could be a legitimate winner if I ever did a My Favorite LJN tournament again. Oh man, there's like 5 or 6 figures on top of my one that has previously won that I think would be a lot of fun to see the showdown. With that being said, even though I think this is a fantastic figure that could be my all-time favorite, what if he can't even win the My Favorite Manager tournament? Does that mean that he has no chance at that tournament? No, because I plan on doing like another, you know, kind of like this, blind drawing, random selection. So who knows who can go against who. He could have the easy flowing all the way to round 6 and then find someone to beat in the 7th round. So I really like the Black Bobby Heenan, and it's special, it's unique, with the positioning of the hands. No real change here outside of adding on the different texture and color. But come on, the elf figure for Bobby Heenan, I think, has got to be a front runner. Right now, among all the figures I'm looking at here in the last 10 or so that's going to win, he's got to be a top 3, maybe top 5 figure in my opinion. Again, I don't know where to rate them because we're not doing a top 5. We're just doing a top 1. So excellent figure, love it a lot. Elf Bobby Heenan pushes forward, and a really solid figure that I got from who did I get this one from? Harvey Snuts. I got this one from Hulk $0125 on Macari. So that's pretty awesome. All right, guys. So today I've made 3 videos. I am going to make one more video. That is going to be part 2-3 of the My Favorite LJN tournament, or My Favorite Manager tournament. So all 3 videos for round 2 will be filmed and ready for posting when the appropriate day comes. Excuse me. All right, so just 6 figures remaining, and yeah, 6 figures, 3 more matchups, and that'll close out round 2. All right, everybody. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time. Goodbye, everybody.